Yo, what's going on, man? What's going on, peeps, man? Back in the building. Hope everybody is blessed, whether you're watching this live on the replay or whatever the case may be, man. Yeah, I was thinking about this for the last like couple of days. And I was talking to my bedroom actually last night, right? So we're talking about football and various different other things, and obviously we were speaking about the Champions League. Like the format and everything. And then we saw, what happened last night. Obviously, Juventus, losing to Galatasaray. Then you obviously had Inter Milan getting slapped up by Bodo Glint the other day. So yeah, obviously all of that stuff kind of happened. And yeah, we got into like a deep conversation, like a real deep conversation about like Serie A, what's happened to them. Did you get what I mean? Like, why are they not? I wouldn't even say in this position that they're in now, because, and obviously we'll talk about it later on in regards to, you know, just Serie A in a general sense. Obviously, the last few seasons, Inter Milan have gotten to the final. Yes, they've lost to PSG, but they were absolutely annihilated. Obviously, narrowly lost to Manchester City as well in the previous final. So they're, they've gotten to a couple of finals. They haven't won, but they've gotten to a couple of finals. And listen, you can call this kind of clickbait a little bit. And you know me, I don't really like clickbait, but you can call this a little bit of a clickbait in terms of, obviously, I'm more latching onto the fact that, we saw Juventus last night. We've seen just over the last, what I say, like 10, really like the last like 10, 15 years. I don't know. Like I've not really felt the energy with Serie A. I don't know what it is. I don't know why. And by the way, I'm not an expert on Serie A. You'd have to ask, I don't know, Judge Mo. You'd have to ask maybe Michael Talks. Like those are the two people I know who not probably know a lot more about Italian football than I do. So they'll be the ones to really give you some in-depth knowledge in behind that. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm more just trying to, I guess I'm really just asking the people, and I want to do my own research in behind, as to why they are where they're at this moment, moment in time kind of thing. And even if you saw, like, if you see the thumbnail of the video, they've had, like, over the years, right? When you look at Serie A in Italian football, they've had, I'm saying, Don Dadas, like they've had some real bad boys, just playing in their league, and they've had some real bad boy teams. Like, so I'll show you guys here, right? Let's take a look at this. Let's remove that, because we'll get on to all of that very soon. Let's look at the list of Ballon d'Or winners. Let's look at this. All right, cool. So let me move myself, actually. Let's get myself out of the way, Charmaine. All right, cool. So you've got this is the list of Ballon d'Or winners from, we'll go from 92. I mean, I was born in 91, so we'll go from 91, right? So this is the list of Ballon d'Or winners since 1991. Since the year that I was born, these are the winners of the Ballon d'Or. Big up Andy, by the way, in the building. Hope you're doing blessed this afternoon, man. I know most of you probably busy doing work and all this other various different stuff. So bless if you're in the building. I think it's an off season, 22-23. There was 3 Serie A teams in the semis of the UCL. Inter made UCL final last year. 2, yeah. And like I said, we're gonna get onto that. We're definitely gonna speak in and around that. I think, just before I even get into all of that, I think for me, it's just more when you look at Serie A, right? From how I remember it. Now, again, I'm not no connoisseur when it comes to Italian football. And I'll be real, even when I was younger, when we talk about like R9 and stuff, right? Obviously, my age group anyway, me watching R9, I can't sit here and say I saw, if people would say, quote unquote, the best of R9 when he was, let's say, at an Inter Milan, right? Obviously, I saw him at Real Madrid, I saw him at AC Milan, and then obviously after that, I saw him for Brazil. That's where I've seen him. So you're talking 2000s onwards. That's where I've really been able to watch R9. Obviously, we've all watched the videos and stuff, but I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and be like, yeah, 90, whatever it was, 95, 96, when he was playing for PSV. And no, I didn't watch him. I didn't know who, like, I was 4. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I wasn't watching R9 during that kind of period of time. So even when he was at Inter Milan, I think maybe obviously just before the 98 World Cup. Yeah, I would have. It's like the World Cup would have brought me, for me anyway, growing up. The World Cup was where I started to know a lot of these players, and you start to see a lot of these players. Remember, I'm not watching like, yes, I think back in the day they used to do like used to be able to watch Italian, was it football? Like I think early in the morning. I want to say Channel 5. But again, I'm young, so I'm not really paying too much attention to that. Yes, I'm watching, and you can see some. It was just more interesting to be able to see some of these like star players and or players that you just never knew who they were, really and truly. And it's the exotic, these kind of players, like I say, the R9s and stuff like that. So Zidane's and whatever. These kind of players, they just seemed exotic because I only ever got to see them during like the World Cup and stuff like that, right? But when we're just talking about actually watching football and understanding the game, brother, it was only really until R9 got to Real Madrid. And like I said, though, you're talking 2000s onwards. Can't remember the exact year that he left to go there, but whatever. I'm saying from 2000 onwards, that's when I'm really get to know some of these players. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm seeing Morientes and all the Raúls and all these kind of guys. Before then, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really paying that much attention to, do you get what I'm saying? These kind of teams. Yeah, do you get what I'm trying to say? I only really saw Serie A teams in UCL exactly. And even then, it was only Juve who were literally, Andy, this is what I'm saying. A lot of people will lie to you and they will tell you, yeah, man, I was watching Italian football. Where? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, where? How old were you? Maybe, obviously, if you're old, no disrespect, but if you are older, fair enough. You probably was watching Serie A football and really into the get. Probably so, but I definitely was not doing that. Premier League was the only thing I was watching. And even then, I probably watched more Championship, League One, or Division One, Division Two games than I ever watched of any other country. Remember, the access weren't the same. Not like now, you can watch any game across any country in the entire world. I can watch freaking a game in Bolivia. Do you get, like, why would I even? But I can watch a game in Bolivia. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah, it's just one of those kind of things. But yeah, when we're looking, I'll look here anyway. So obviously this is like the Ballon d'Or winners, isn't it? And this is something, again, I just found it interesting when I was just taking a look before I started this stream and stuff, right? So you can see here. Let's go with, so you obviously got Papin obviously won it with Marseille. Van Basten obviously won it with Milan. So cool, we're now in Italy. So the first Italian, or the first player from Italy, like not from Italy because he's not Italian, but the first player who plays in Italy is in 1992. Obviously, prior to that, by the way, they've Van Basten, back to back, and then Ruud Gullit. Obviously, those few years where AC Milan were like a really, really big team. Obviously, Michel Platini won it 3 times in a row, but that's way back then. That's in the 80s. Italy were the team. Like, well, let's not lie, right? Because they were the team, you then move into the 90s. Now you're into the 90s, and it's like, okay, cool. Let's see what they got popping. So Van Basten, as I mentioned, then guess what? Roberto Baggio, very good striker. He then wins it after that. Then obviously you have Stoichkov from Barcelona, who was also another really good player. Then guess what? George Weah, AC Milan. Obviously he then wins it. Then he got Dortmund. Then R9, Ronaldo, he wins it in 97. Then guess what? Zinedine Zidane, he wins it for Juventus in 1998. Then you go a few years. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4 years past, and then Pavel Nedved obviously wins it. Then Shevchenko wins it the year after. Again, a couple years of of dominance. Then you go after Shevchenko, you get a couple of seasons. Ronaldinho obviously wins it. Then you got Fabio Cannavaro. Obviously he's Italian, but he wins it. Obviously playing for Real Madrid. Then obviously Kaká. Now after Kaká, obviously then we know it's the Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi show, right? But Kaká, as they say, was the last human to actually win it. But when we're looking, let's say from 2007, you're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 winners. It's 8 winners from 1991 to 2007. That's a lot of winners from one country, in my opinion. Anyway, that's a lot of winners. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So when I'm looking at that, I'm thinking like, and the reason why I'm going back through this whole nostalgia kind of stuff, right, is just because again, for anybody who is a connoisseur in Italian football, I just want to know. And I do think people want to know, and they want to understand as to, but why? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, why is Serie A football kind of just, I don't know, like just kind of in a bit of the shits, if I'm being 100% honest with you. And I say that it's not just about the Ballon d'Or winners and stuff like that. It's other things. Do you get what I'm saying? And again, other things that we can, of course, we'll get into in terms of revenue and stadiums and, X, Y, and Z. But that's something that, I want to know, because ultimately at one point the best player in the world almost always played in Italy. That was, I think, one of the lures, in my opinion, growing up watching football, where I kind of looked at it, because I was like, rah, like, you need to be a bit like how we look at and this is one of the conversations that me and my friends was having, right? Was Real Madrid and Barcelona looked at as like the pinnacle, right? They're the teams that you look at and you're like, yeah, if we want to be a serious team, or sorry, if I want to be a serious player and stuff like that, I've got to go to Real Madrid and Barcelona. Now, rightly so, of course, because they are the biggest clubs in world football. So there is that level of understanding, right? And that's obviously been built up through the years, though. Do you get what I'm saying? That didn't just come. That was years and years of Real Madrid obviously dominating, then obviously Barcelona obviously having their kind of really dominant period within football, under Pep Guardiola and stuff like that. But even prior to that, again, having the players like Romario, Ronaldinho, Rivaldo, all of these type of guys, right? Again, the foreign kind of players, those players that we looked at and we only ever got to see them during World Cups and things like that, right? So it makes sense in my mind anyway. It makes sense as to why that would be kind of the lure. And again, it's just the history of the football club and stuff like that, right? So cool. You've got all of that. Then you look at let's take a look at UEFA Champions League winners list. So this was something again that I took a look at. So we'll look at from, let's say, from 1991 or 1990 to 91 season. Again, as I mentioned before, you can see, so the winners are on the left-hand side, against on the right-hand side is obviously who they played against. So Milan, obviously back-to-back, beating Steaua Bucharest and Benfica. Then you get to the 90s. Cool. Now in the 90s, obviously Red Star Belgrade. Then Barca win it in 92. Then Marseille obviously win it in 93. Then 94, AC Milan. And then Ajax obviously win it. Then Juventus win it. Then you get a few years where it's Dortmund win it, Madrid, United, Madrid, Munich, Madrid. Then AC Milan obviously win it in the 02-03. Jose Mourinho comes in. Liverpool, Istanbul, Barca win it the season after that. Then Milan obviously beat Liverpool again. Cool. Couple years go by. Boom. Inter Milan then win it. And then obviously, as we know, after that, that's it. Do you get what I'm saying? So the last winner, Italian winner anyway, was back when Inter Milan obviously won the treble. So we're talking 2010. We're in 2026. 16 years, and they've not had a winner. In that time, you've had a French winner, Spanish, English, German. Anything else I'm missing? Yeah, since that time, you've had Spanish, you've had Spain, England, Germany, France. You've literally had everybody else except for you. Do you get what I'm saying? So the top four out of the top five European leagues, they've all had at least one winner within the Champions League. You've had none. That's a very, 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 very long time. Very, very long time. Big up Alexander. So again, this is what I'm saying. This is why I look at it and I'm just like, rah, like this is kind of where you're at. And the thing is, I'm not surprised though. Like, and I feel like that in itself is surprising, that I'm sitting here not surprised. If you guys kind of understand, you know what I mean, what I'm trying to say, like that part in itself. Like, I don't feel like growing up that I ever thought we'd be in a position now where Italy's just kind of there. It really is, like it really is just just kind of there. And he's saying here, Serie A was the place to go, then La Liga, and now it's the Prem. We'll talk about that. We'll definitely talk about that. And yeah, we're going to talk about this as well. Big up Trudon. Hope you're doing blessed. Pretty much Serie A team in the pretty much a Serie A team in the final every year up to 2010. That's what I'm saying, bro. This is how strong they were. And bearing in mind, the Premier League started in 1992. Do you get what I'm saying? So the Premier League starting in 1992, you're now looking at that and you're like, oh, okay, cool. If the Premier League starting in 1992, you would understand, yeah, maybe if England had a bit more representatives, in the final, maybe English teams were winning it more, but it was just Manchester United in the 90s. That was the only team. I think, anyway, yeah. Just Man United, the 99 treble. That was it. There was no one else. There wasn't this like, yeah, Man United win it, and then Arsenal probably win it, and then throw in a Liverpool. No. It was just Manchester United. So again, it's not like the English teams were dominating football in that kind of time. And even with the Premier League obviously starting during that kind of period, even still, yes, we know the Premier League, you got the Eric Cantonas, you got your David Ginolas, you got your Klinsmans and all these kind of guys. Yes, they're all coming over to the Premier League, but ultimately it's still not. Do you get what I'm saying? It's still, in my opinion, in the 90s, we're talking about, just in the 90s, Italy was still the place to go. That's where all the bad boys were. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, that's where everybody was. It wasn't really England was still obviously still trying to make its way, and understandably so. Do you get what I'm saying? Because England were behind Italy prior to the Premier League coming in, and again, then talking about the money and, you know, etc., etc. So yeah, a lot of fall offs from 22. That's what I'm saying, man. Have you heard about the big up Ram? Have you heard about the 900-page bed? No, I have not. I'll search it up right now. If you can let me know a little bit about it. But yeah, I can definitely search it up. Search it up a little bit now still. But yeah, again, look at that dominance that Italy, Serie A had. Yeah, so we're talking about up till about 2000, let's say 2007, because that's when Kaká obviously won the Ballon d'Or, right? Up until that point, them lot were, they were like a proper, do you know what I'm saying, like a really, 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 really good team. Do you know what I mean? Like, in my opinion, they were a really, really good team. Then obviously the scandal. Do you know what I mean? That this obviously kicks in. Like, this obviously plays a massive part, in my opinion, to Italian football. When did this happen? I think 2000 and 2006. So obviously Juventus getting relegated to Serie B, then stripped of 2 league titles. There was points deductions for Milan, Fiorentina, Lazio. And I think, like, I was looking here, so you got like the revenue dropped by about, well, Juventus's revenue anyway during that period of time dropped about 50% during that relegation season. So again, global brand damaged, you know, sponsors, investors, they hesitate. Of course, when the whole governance is collapsed around them, they're obviously hesitating, rightly so, because they're sitting there thinking, well, I'm not trying to, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to really get involved. Do you get what I mean? And then in that time, Italy loses its 4th Champions League spot. That was in 2011. So you're talking 5 years after that whole thing. And then Germany took over Italy in the UEFA coefficient. So again, it wasn't just the decline, would I say, then in Italian football. Because again, like I say, I mean, 2007, was it 2007? Kaká still wins the Ballon d'Or. Shevchenko's obviously won it in, what's it, 03. Pavel Nedved's obviously won it, or 03, 04, whenever it was. Pavel Nedved's obviously still won it. They've still got, you know what I'm saying? They've still got bad boys. Again, it's not like anything has really changed. Again, the Premier League is coming into its own, but again, we're looking at it when you deep it. If you go back to the list of the Champions League winners, if we just go from English teams, Manchester United 98-99, then Liverpool 04-05, then Man United 07-08. Yeah, and then obviously Chelsea won it in 11-12. So they had a few. They had a few in that time. Liverpool, Man United twice. Do you get what I'm saying? Up until 2007, 2008. Or let's say up till 2010, when Inter Milan won the treble, England had just 3 winners in that time. Italy had obviously 1, 2, 3, 4, and obviously 5th being that. So Italy again were outdoing the Premier League when it came to the Champions League. So they were still, in my opinion, the Don Dadas. They were still, even with the scandal and everything like that, they were still kind of the Don Dadas. Do you get what I'm saying? And again, it's just one of them things. Like, if again, I have to keep reiterating just so that people understand. I don't know too much about Serie A these days. I don't watch too much of it. I watch a couple Como games here and there, a couple Napoli games here and there, a couple Inter Milan games here and there. That is it. So don't talk to me about players or none of that kind of stuff, because yeah, I'm just not really with it, especially this season in terms of football. But in a general sense, you know, for you, when you're looking at from the outside in, and this is what I say, guys, ask Judge Mo, ask Michael Talks, they'll probably be able to tell you. From the outside looking in, I'm just like, rah, like this is what you're getting slapped up by Bodo Glint. And yes, obviously it was a bit of a shock, but really, was it that much of a shock? Don't know. After Italy's humiliation in 2010, FIGC needed to understand why they performed so badly in the World Cup. They hired Baggio to go around Italy's clubs and see why is it so bad. He went across the entirety of Italy and saw fundamental issues with the youth system and the quality of players being produced. I'm going to get that up. Rem, because that's actually interesting. Baggio report. The Baggio Reporte. All right. Yeah. Basically what Ram was saying here. For water. Just basically talking about him, obviously just going around, just trying to basically understand. The Azzurri have been on a downward spiral since lifting the World Cup in '06, with their only redeeming results coming in European Championships in both 2010 and 14. They exited football's biggest tournaments in the group stages, but significant change did not come, despite the fact that the FIGC had a golden opportunity years prior. Yeah, man. And this is it. Like I said, they were looked at like it was the pinnacle. And I think that's the bit that people are not even not understanding, but that's the bit where it's so confusing. I know we can always talk about like money and stuff like that. I get all of that. I really do. I really do understand that. I understand that obviously if we're looking at it from an economic value, yeah, fairs. Do you get what I'm saying? Like it is one of those you can obviously sit here and say, okay, you know what, Real Madrid, Barcelona, and obviously I'll show you guys the league table, right? All these other clubs, they're obviously going to be looked at in a bigger light, you know what I mean, so to speak. But yeah, I'm still not that convinced. I'll be honest with you. I'm still not that convinced as to was that the only reason? Obviously, like I said, with this whole scandal thing, I do think that this played such a massive part, more so because with the Premier League and their own revenue coming obviously in that 92 kind of period, with that being there, you are always obviously you're playing catch up. Obviously, you're trying to, catch up with wages and how much you can spend on players and etc. etc. This then happens. Bearing in mind, this is after or this is during a period of time when you're winning obviously World Cups, you're having players winning the Ballon d'Ors, you're having an Italian defender winning a Ballon d'Or and stuff like that. In the midst of all of this happens, bro. It's gonna knock you for six. I'm interested to know: do people think had this not like if this never happened, like this wasn't a thing, right? There was no scandal. Things were just done properly. Do we think that Italian football could have potentially have been bigger than the Premier League? Because I just feel like it's like their decline just happened like just random. Like you just obviously I get it. Barcelona, Ronaldinho, Messi, Pep Guardiola, Real Madrid, and then later on Cristiano Ronaldo and the Bales, and I get it. I do get it. But it's like they just dropped out completely. Bayern Munich even had a period or had that season where they won the was it the sextuple or whatever it's called. Like, yeah, I'm saying like they even had a period. And I'm just looking at it thinking, bro, so where was Italy during this whole time? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, where were they? Big up Mike's, man. Big up Mike. Like I said, guys, head over to Michael Talks. He'll be the one to be able to tell you, bro. I don't know. I'm not the connoisseur when it comes to this. He'd be the best person, to kind of ask. You don't cultivate talent. Fabregas said he had a hard time finding young Italian talent. That's why Como scout foreign players over Italian talent. So are they almost having the same problem England having? Because I feel like England don't have enough talent. As much as people are going to sit here and tell me, yeah, England got better talent. I feel like England import a lot of talent from different teams around Europe and embed them in, but they're already players who were at Atletico Madrid or from this team or that team, South America or something, and then they just have them come through their system. Technically, you can say, yeah, you've come through this youth system. When in reality, you didn't start at this youth system. That came at a later date. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But again, I don't know. Imagine the disrespect to an ex-player who many believe is Italy's greatest ever footballer. Yes, the Calciopoli was a massive factor for the downfall, but Juventus were great in the 2010s. Inter won the UCL in 2010. I'd argue COVID was a massive factor. Also, COVID is a massive factor, but Mike's that's 10 years later. What was it? 2019, 20, let's say. Well, yeah, the year Liverpool won the Premier League. So yeah, 1920. That's when COVID hit. That's 9, 10 years later. That's a whole decade after this. But and even longer to the actual scandal. I'm saying the scandal happened in what, '04? Was it no 2006, I think the scandal. 2006. Double check. So this happened 2004, 2005. It was uncovered in May 2006. So we're saying from May 2006 till even if we just go with what you're saying there, Mike, up until COVID, it's a long time, you know. It's a very, very long time. The scandal started it, but they could have easily stopped the downfall quickly if they focus on the youth quality. Don't disagree. AC Milan would have fell off either way. Juve could have still been that team in the 20. Again, Juve, like, I'm not saying Juve were bad because they were good to a degree. Like they were good. Like they had some good players. They were still like Italy. It's weird, yeah, because in Italy, then obviously when Juve had like the Tevez's, the Dani Alves's, like later on, and obviously all these other kind of players, right? That they were able to still bring to the league and stuff, right? So they were still able to attract a certain amount of talent, and obviously they at this point now you really are competing, you know what I mean, with the Premier League at this point in terms of just trying to find talent and have talent coming over to you. Because I used to always sit there and think you're only going to Italy if you're a bit like you're a bit old or on the older side, and you only really want to go there just to kind of still go to a big team like historically, but the reality is they're not really going to do too much. Obviously Juve were challenging for for those top honors, again not winning it. That's where I kind of it's a bit the Prem's rise is it's English speaking and they push the product out over time. Once you get US market, that opens up a lot. Agreed that broadcasting revenue, and we're going to take a look actually. I'll show you guys now. Let's remove that. So there we go. So I was looking at this. So this is the what do they call it? The Deloitte, or whatever it's called. So this is obviously club revenue. So this is from this was done in January, I believe. So I'm gonna say it's as accurate as it possibly, you know what I mean, possibly can be, right? Let's get it up on the screen. Finish this. England have a lot of wasted talent, not the same. Fair enough. No, I can hear that. Berlusconi would never let Milan fall this badly, but this ownership are moneyball hungry. Definitely going to speak about that as well. There's more talent dropping to championship and below teams now. Unfortunately, TV right deals for Serie A are peanuts compared to the Prem, so it hurt them a lot. Yes, that's something that, again, that I looked at and I was like, fucking it, we're going to look at. I got that up here as well. COVID didn't play that much of a role. 2023, there were 3 Serie A teams in the quarters. Juventus had their remnants of the technical quality in the 2000s. Buffon, Barzaghi, Bonucci, Chiellini, Marchisio, Perla. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, they've had ballers. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are all ballers, bro. These are all ballers. 2 seconds, Mike. Let me send you the link. Send you the link. Give me 2 seconds, people. Where is... This is what I hate about fucking Twitter. Just so I know I don't use Twitter or none of this kind of stuff. Well, I don't use it a lot anyway. Mike's, where's Mike's? Where is Mike's? Mike's, why are you not showing up? There you go. There we go. There we go. Juve were heritage team in the UCL anyway. Yep, I see it. So obviously, look, so we got this here, right? Real Madrid, obviously, that's 1.1 billion or just over 1.1 billion in revenue. Then Barcelona, and bearing in mind, Barcelona have been through their own, you know what I'm saying, their own kind of, would I say, quote unquote, struggles and stuff like that in recent seasons. You got Bayern Munich there in 3rd place, PSG not too far behind them. Then Liverpool, Liverpool being the highest English club in there on 836. Crazy though. Look at that. Look at the top 4. This is and big up Ends, because I watched obviously his video that he did today, and he's talking about obviously the whole I had a little look, Florian Wirtz, agent, whatever. Cool. And obviously Ends is obviously asking about, you know, like whether like a team like Liverpool would be seen as like a destination, right? In comparison, or why, I guess, why they are not seen as like a destination for players like a Florian Wirtz and a Real Madrid would be. You know, Liverpool should be able to kind of compete. And I'll be honest, you look at stuff like this and you're like, compete where? Do you get what I'm saying? And personally, Liverpool, in my opinion, they will do well to ever hit even a top three, in my personal opinion. Do you get, like, if they ever made top three, I'm like, oh, okay, that's really good. Do you know what I'm saying? If you're able to hit top three, right? That'll be good. Because then obviously you're always going to be behind the likes of the Real Madrids and Barcelonas. That's just, as you can see, these kind of clubs, it almost doesn't matter what kind of position they're kind of in. You're always going to be in and around that. Do you get what I'm trying to say in itself? So yeah, it's Real Madrid and Barcelona again. I just feel like over a period of time, and obviously Real Madrid with the whole Galactico thing, they were able to then push themselves out even more on a global scale when it did come to stuff like this, because they were then able to say, you know what, if let's say if the Italian teams are doing whatever they're doing, English teams have obviously got the money, we need a draw ourselves. We're obviously the kings of Europe and stuff like that, but we almost need a draw ourselves, you know, in regards to what we can and can't kind of do. And obviously them doing the whole Galacticos and signing just basically just Ballon d'Or winners and top players, you know, across the world. That was their kind of gimmick. Barcelona's gimmick is one, Pep Guardiola, but also La Masia. You know, that's their gimmick kind of thing. So quite an interesting one. Big up, Max, man. Hope you're doing blessed, bro. I don't know if
Yo,
you've
can you hear me?
yeah, I'm good, man. Yeah, I can hear you still. You sound
Okay, cold. Cold. It's freaking cold where I am right
wait,
now. Finland
wait.
still, bro. We just got 15
Oh,
centimeters of snow today.
15. Yeah. You're not lit now.
Yeah.
That's over here.
Nah,
We've had just pissing down with rain since the beginning of the year. I don't know if I'd swap that. I might swap that with the snow. You know, I can't lie. I'd rather the snow.
yeah, I would
I'd
actually
rather,
do the same thing, to be honest. Snow is better than rain.
yeah, 100%, man. 100%, man.
Yeah,
How you been though?
but
How you been?
I've been good, man. Good Champions League week.
Mm.
Crazy games, but now you want to talk about the downfall of the beautiful Calcio, man, which is just sad in a way.
No, I
Everybody just
see.
wants to glaze the prem nowadays. It's just, and then Calcio.
Oh shit.
Hello?
Yeah, no, yeah, no, okay, no, sorry, I
Okay, cool.
just
You're good.
no, you know what, you know what it is, bro. It's and you know me as well. Like I don't like all the glazing that people do for like the Premier League and stuff like that, because I just feel it's too much when the reality, the quality isn't really, in my opinion, it's not really there like that. But it's just interesting. Like I said, I was literally having a conversation with my friend last night, and he asked me, because he asked about where did it go wrong for Italian football, like why all of a sudden, obviously, like I said at the beginning of this video, it is a bit of clickbait, because obviously Inter Milan getting knocked out, Napoli, you know, getting knocked out in the group stages, and obviously it's only Atalanta obviously were able to make it through. Juve against Galatasaray, I thought Juve were going to come back and win it. Unfortunately, they didn't, kind of thing. So I am latching on a bit to what happened over the last couple of days, but when you look at it in totality, it is looking a bit peak, man. I don't know what your kind of thoughts on that is. Obviously, you watch it a lot more than I do.
No, look, G, this is not a new thing. This has been
Mm,
developing since 2010, pretty much. You know, there
mm.
has been only one champion from Italy in European competitions since 2010. One, and
Who
that's
was that?
Atalanta in the Europa League. So not
Oh
Inter,
yeah, shit.
Juventus, Milan, Fiorentina have never won the Conference League, even though they lost two finals. So this has been a growing issue. And it's,
Mm,
look, if the results went really bad yesterday, oh, I would have had the thumbnail and the video ready because I would have
mm,
probably talked about it for 30 minutes. But it's still a massive issue because Italy are one of the most historic footballing nations on the world. Mind you, people, they have four World Cups. Four.
yeah.
They won a Euros in 2021. So clearly there is talent within Italy. But
Mm,
there's two main issues here. One is ownership. There's no money.
yeah.
There's literally no money. And then the money they
Mm,
spent, like Juventus, you know who they buy, G? Lord Kelly.
yeah. Yeah.
Like, and then you know another horrible signing is Coop Miners for 60 million. 60
Yeah.
million on that guy. Who, yeah, he was good. I actually thought he was quite good yesterday for Juventus, but overall, he's been a complete. So when they actually spend money, it's been horrific over and over
Mm,
again. And then they try and keep the talent. Then they just basically boot them out. Look at Napoli.
mm,
They had Osimhen and Kivara. You keep those guys on two massive deals for the next 5 to 10 years. Those are your
mm,
two superstars. Napoli could have had a sick team. You had Scott McSauce there. You got Anguissa, Lobotka. You have other guys, but no. De Laurentiis fell out with those players. They wanted to move on. They wanted fatter contracts. I can understand. They were doing really well. So these are the growing issues. One is ownerships are lacking ambition, and two, it's player development. Italy actually have been, if you look at what they've been doing in youth ranks, they've been winning European championships. They've made a World Cup U20 final. So there's not a
Mm,
lack of talent, but it's about that next step from the youth teams into then the men's team. And
mm,
clearly, this league cannot do it. If you actually go to whatever it is, FootMob or Flash Score or SofaScore, and you look at the
mm.
top 20 goal scorers of the Serie A this season, guess how many Italians are there?
How many? I want to say one.
One. One.
Yeah, I think so.
So that's a massive. That's Moise Kean, who was great last season with Fiorentina. There is
Mm,
just so many issues with Serie A football that this is not going to be a quick fix. It's going to have to be like England from the early 2010s, where they had to completely restructure their grassroots approach. And then you now see all of the talented players that England have been able to produce since, let's say, since 2016. You look at guys like
mm,
Dele Alli, Harry Kane, these sort of guys. Italy, Italy actually have some good midfielders, good defenders. But what has always been a prototypical Italian player? You look at the attacking players: Del Piero, Toni, Totti, Baggio, even Inzaghi, Vieri. There is none of those guys anymore. There is no flair
mm.
players. So, yeah, it's a lot of issues for Serie A football. I mean, when you actually watch the games, they're very entertaining in Serie A, but definitely the pace of play, it's just way too slow compared to the rest of Europe.
Told you guys, man. Ask Mike, bro. He's the one who gives me the lowdown, to be honest with you, man, in terms of
But
like these
what do you think,
teams.
G? What do you think, G? Because I know you don't really regularly watch Serie A, but what do you think when you're watching Serie A teams in the Champions League? What do you think they lack? Is it number one is athleticism? Is that like the biggest thing for them?
I, you can say that for this season. I can agree with that, right? But I think that's a England will always have the athleticism over every other country. I think that's just they're in their DNA, right? So that's not something I think anybody else is going to be able to compete with. But that's not. I don't look at that as something that they should be too worried about. I think for me, the Italian teams personally, and again, I'm being biased towards this season. When I look at them in a general sense, you're right. I watch some of their game, like I said, every now and again, a Napoli or Inter or Juve. When I watch some of the games, I'm like, okay, you know what? This actually was an interesting game. It was a good game. I like Como quite a lot because I like what Fabregas is doing. It's just a little bit different to what, and it's fresh. It's just fresh, and I like some of the players. Nico Paz, for example, like I really like him as a player. So when I'm looking at that, I'm like, yeah, the football is still good. I just think that they've reached what you said. You're signing coop miners for 60 odd million. You're signing players that you look at and you think, like, for that amount of money, you could have signed way better players. Or if you add an extra 10 million, you could sign a really top player. But you've gone for coop miners for 60 mil. And I'm looking at that thinking, I'm not saying he's rubbish. I'm not going to go that far. But coop miners, really? If he was playing in the Premier League, like, and we all watched him, no one's saying he's going to be good. So I'm not going to say he's good just because he's playing it. No, he's just not that good of a player. He's okay at best. A 40 million if you could get that type of deal. But for 60 M's, that's the kind of level of play, and in Italy they seem to do that quite a bit. So that level of quality that you've got in Italy in itself starts to then drop slowly. And bearing in mind, it starts at the top. So where you've got like an AC Milan and Inter Milan and Napoli and stuff like that, right? Yes, they've got good players in their ranks, like as you say, Scott McTominay and stuff like that. But slowly, the quality level has dropped dramatically. I look at Inter Milan's team and I think to myself, Barella, he was a player sought after by, it seems to be every man and his dog a few seasons ago, right? I look at Barella now and I'm like, same player, maybe not, but okay, he's still there. He's still kind of doing his thing slowly and just kind of going along with things. But I still don't feel like he's at the level that I thought he was at anyway a few seasons ago. And then I look around the league in terms of like even if I looked at like Inter Milan, I look at say Kononoglu, I look at him and I think that's the kind of level of player that you're kind of dealing with. You don't really have like players who are going to go above that kind of level. You look at AC Milan and you're thinking, okay, you got Rafael Leao, great. He's I guess somewhat of a superstar-ish, or he thinks he's a superstar anyway. But then Pulisic is one of your better players. Again, not knocking Pulisic, but if that's one of your best players, in one of the better teams in the league, in my opinion, that's where your problem is coming. And as I said, as you said there, if you're spending that amount of money on players like Coop Miners, yeah, that's where I'm gonna, Kefren Turam. I think, in my personal opinion, from what I've seen, I think he's been absolutely rubbish for Juventus. He's just poor.
Nah, G, no. Kefren Turam, you think he's been poor? Nah, G, you're
I
definitely
think
wrong on
he's
that
been.
one, bro.
Yeah, no, no.
You're
I'm not here to. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're gonna give me the perspective. Obviously, you watch it a lot more. From what I've seen of him in any game I've seen of him, I just think, nah, this guy's like, he's not that. He's not the guy that I thought he was prior to moving to Juventus. Like, I'm happy that we didn't sign him. Like, I'm not looking at him thinking, man, we missed a boat with that. Yildiz, of course, he's a top player. You can see this is someone that you would really want to have in your team. But when I look at players like him, I just think, again, if let's even go with the premise that he is good, right? If that's one of your better players, come on, Mikes, man, like that. If that's the level that you're dealing with, you can see that this is one of the, again, still one of the better teams in that league. That's the kind of player level that you're dealing with. Then the whole league is kind of in a bit of a rut.
oh, oh no, definitely, G. Like if you look back at Juventus's team from 2010s, Thuram is not
Yeah,
starting over Vidal, Marquisio, Pogba, or any of these guys, or Pirlo.
bro.
He's just not starting. So, but I would disagree. I think Thuram has actually been one of Juventus's better players last 2 seasons since he's
But that,
joined. But that's the problem. He has to
that's the
be. If he's one of
yeah,
your better
that's the
players,
problem.
you have a massive
Yeah,
issue.
yeah. And I think, yeah, and again, I think that's just it for me. When I look at like the quality level, and again, like I said, I don't watch the games. I'm not going to lie and sit here and tell you I do. But the games I do watch, I am watching. I'm just thinking it's not about the football. The football is fine. Like, I've got no problem with the Italian football in a general sense. I've got no problems with the Italian teams and the way that they play football. I still think it's good football. The problem is just the quality of player that you guys have in your teams is just not that high for whatever reason, whether it's just the money thing. But then I can't say it's just a money thing because you're spending 60 million on these like, you have money, then you're just, as Michael said, you're just spending it wrong then. So that's a you problem. That's not anybody else's fault. I can't force, like, we can't look at it and say, oh, but they don't have enough money to do. No, you have enough money. You're just spending it. You're not spending it wisely. So whose fault is it really then? Is it the club's fault? Is it the ownership? Is it just the model in Italy in terms of maybe that's the only type of player that they can attract? Maybe Coop Miners was the best of a better, like, best of whatever the bunch of players that they could have obviously have signed. I don't know. I don't know what that looked like, but I'm just looking at it and I'm just sitting here thinking, Jesus Christ, man. I just don't think the quality level it's not where it used to be. And I know people like to say, yes, I'm a nostalgia bias. Yes, I am. I'm very, very biased to back in the day. But ultimately, this was one of the best, if not the best league. Before I was born anyway, it was the best league in the world. And it had the best players in the world. We just saw, I showed you guys the list of Ballon d'Or winners, Champions League winners. It's Italian teams in there. English teams were nowhere to be seen. Spain, obviously, Real Madrid, Barcelona, obviously going to be thrown in there. Borussia Dortmund thrown in there randomly, like, kind of, yeah, cool. They had their moments, but it was Italy. Italy were really the ones who were, kind of doing their thing. The wrong focus is this player versus that player in the league. The quality of the product needs to be better. Players become stars, so names don't matter. The product, player development, investment. No, that's what I'm saying. That's how I was trying to articulate that. Again, I don't care about I don't care that they signed Coop Miners. Yeah, maybe, like I said, I think it's just the way I articulate it. I don't care that you signed Coop Miners. It's the fact that the level of player that Coop Miners is, that's my issue. I don't care who. It could have been anybody. Like, it really could have been as Michael said, Kefren Turam. If he's been your best, let's say he's been one of their best players for the last 2 seasons, right, since he joined them, right? If he's been your best, look where you've been in the last 2 seasons. They've been awful. They've been awful in terms of what we know what we expect Juventus to be. That, like, they've been awful by their own standards. He's been one of their better players. That's the kind of level that they're dealing with. They're not dealing with the level that they were previously when they had, as I mentioned before, the Carlos Tevez's, the Patrice Vieira, the Patrice Evras in their team, the Chiellinis, the Bonucci's, as you say, the Pirlos, Vidals, Pogbas, all of these kind of guys. And that's then, if we even go back to the Del Pieros, the Trezeguets, go back even further to the Zinedines, like, they've had players and they've been able to maintain like a level, like this kind of level where you're just like, fucking hell, like, this is This is a real like Juve. I used to think when I was younger and I used to play FIFA 2003. Is that the one where they had Ryan Giggs and Edgar Davids on the front of it? This is what I'm talking. Edgar Davids. And these times the other day we were doing a ranking show and we didn't even have Edgar Davids that high. But that's the kind of level that you're talking about. Edgar Davids maybe not ranked as high in that era,
That's
but he
but
walk
G,
in this era.
that's glasses tax. That's why he was on the cover. Glasses tax.
Oh, yeah. No, it's true. No, it's no, it's true. It's true. Because listen, I used to think he was so. I used to think he. I didn't know he had something wrong with his eyes, so I used to
Mm,
think that he was just wearing it as like an accessory. Like I didn't
yeah.
know he had actually something wrong with his eyes. I was like, oh, what? Can you wear glasses? Like those glasses are cool. They were orange. Like they just look cool. Like for me anyway, they just look.
I would have done the same thing if I had the choice too.
Yeah, bro. Like, listen, if I had longer hair and I had dreads and that, like, trust me, I would have been trying to look like Edgar Davids. I promise you, man. I promise you. But listen, man, I just think when we're just talking about like the Italian league, and someone I know someone might be new social who mentioned this at the beginning. Ultimately, in the last few seasons, we've seen Inter Milan get to the final twice. Yes, they've lost, but they've gotten to the final twice. So maybe there could be some level of a renaissance in terms of. I know obviously they got knocked out this season, but just in it, if we look back in, if we wait another 5 years, maybe if we look back 10 years, for example, we might be able to see a bigger picture. I don't know, but I'm just looking at the Italian league, and as I say, I'm just kind of a little bit like I don't really know where it's kind of heading with these guys. If we look here, right? So I was looking at this is 11 clubs recorded operating profits exceeding 50 million, with Real Madrid, Inter Milan, and Manchester United on top of the ranking. So again, they've got money. The Premier League is by far Europe's leading league. Also in terms of commercial income with 2.38 billion, followed by Germany. So this is a recent one, by the way. Germany have a bigger commercial income than Spain. I didn't know that. That's actually kind of interesting. Italy have around 860 million. Luckily, Serie A also sits fourth in Europe in terms of wage bill, slightly below 2 billion. Yet again, the Premier League, of course, they got 4.8, followed by Spain, and then Germany at 2.1. There's no Italian teams in the top 10 for revenues. Inter are the top Serie A side with 547, followed by Juventus, and then Milan with 411. Serie A ranks fourth in terms of net equity, but 17 out of 20 clubs have a negative net equity, the worst performance in Europe. One thing I did want to ask you. Oh, he's gone now. Yeah, forget to bounce. No, that's all good, bro. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. One thing to be fair, what I wanted to actually ask Mike's, to be fair, was something that I was actually kind of interested was about. Obviously, a lot of these Italian clubs, from what I saw anyway, and again, I ain't got the numbers, but I saw it here, was a lot of Italian clubs, they rent their stadium. They don't own the stadium. Obviously, in other countries, I saw for England, I didn't see every other country, but for England, they don't rent. They own that stadium. Whereas in Italy, they all rent. So I think it's the Stadio Olimpico. So you've got, I think that's Roma, Lazio. Obviously, you've got the San Siro. That's the both Milan clubs. And I think there's a few others as well. That's going to be that's actually kind of interesting. Like I really want to know, and I want to understand as to why that is. Like, is there a reason as to why they decide to? From what I saw, it was just something about when I typed it in, it was just telling me about that's just it's almost built into the what's the word I'm looking for? It's built into the legacy of Italy, into the legacy of Italian football kind of thing, municipal stadiums. La Liga is losing money. Barca and Madrid bled that league, hence Perez begging for Super League. Germany invest in the US. Okay, that's interesting. That is interesting. The good thing is after the World Cup, new money should come into other leagues. Yeah, it should. It should. And like I say, it's going to be interesting to see what that looks like. Obviously, it's in the US. Let's see obviously how Italy do. And are they, no, they're in it. Yeah. Italy are there, right? They did, or did they not make it? Why do I feel like Italy didn't make it to the World Cup? Something in my brain is telling me that they didn't, but I might be thinking about something else. That's how out of tune and out of touch I am with football these days. This is where I'm at. This is where I'm at this moment in time. But again, like I said, I didn't want to do this video as someone who, I'm not coming from the point of view of, oh, yeah, I know this, or no, I don't. I really don't. I'm more just asking the question for the guys that actually do know. So for those watching it, whether you're live in the chat, whether you're watching on the replay, whether you catch this, whatever, I just really want to know, what is it with Italian football? Like, you've come from Ronaldo, Baggio, Nedved, Shevchenko, Kaká, Pirlo's, Cannavaro's, Bonucci, Chiellini, Zidane's. You know what I'm saying? You come from that kind of era. Like, and we can go, you can go through all of the teams. Totti. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, bro, remember when Palmer had fucking didn't they have Juan Sebastian Veron, Hernan Crespo? I think Cannavaro start there, Lilian Thuram. Like, we're talking about some of the best players to play the game of football. Now we're looking at the teams, and I'm just like, bruh, like, you'll do well to have a top 20 player in your team. If that, top 40. Then I'm like, whew. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I guarantee if you went just listed, I wonder, probably Lautaro Martinez. Him. I don't even know. Who finished where in the Ballon d'Or rankings? The thing is, I don't even like going by Ballon d'Or rankings, but I'm just intrigued to know who finished where. I would love to know. That time, you're speaking of, the league had 6 owners that were like Abramovich. They invested in, so the government and the league flourished. Billionaires left over time. Investment dropped all round. Yeah, I've seen. I think you mentioned there about the American owners and stuff like that. Bastoni, yeah, I'll put Bastoni. Barella, maybe top 40, but top 20, nah. I don't think he's a top 20 player at all. Bastoni, yeah, I would definitely put him there. I'd forgotten about him, so apologies. But Barella, nah, definitely not a top 20 player in my eyes, anyway. Donnarumma, nah, he was at PSG, to be fair. So that was the top 10. Was there any Italian player? No. No, yeah, I'm not seeing no. That was in the top 10, obviously, but they obviously had Lautaro Martinez was nominated for was nominated for Ballon d'Or. Yeah, it's just one of those, man. Like I said, I'm just kind of intrigued. I'm just intrigued where Italian football goes. I would like to kind of see them back in a good position. I kind of like the whole, this is the typical English bias, right? But I kind of like the whole looking at like these foreign leagues, and they've got like some of these like star players and stuff. Like, you know what it is? Because I always feel like with England, if England are going to be the team in the position where the Premier League has obviously all the money and has all of the star players and this, that, and the third, I feel like even the way that they do it, it's just so rebore and so like robotic, and just, I don't know, it's not done properly. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. It just doesn't look great. I don't know what it is. When I look at it, I'm like, the way you guys package things up, man, it's kind of rubbish. Like, I need Italy to be, you know what I'm saying? I need Spain to be back on, you know what I mean? I need one of those two, France, maybe. I don't know. It just can't be England. It just can't be England. Like, the way that they package things up is just doesn't look good, in my opinion. Again, I'm not saying it's factual. So yeah, it's just one of those. It's just one of those things, man. But like I said, man, I'd love to know what you guys think. I'm gonna head out now. Just didn't want to make this one a bit. I didn't want to make this stream too long. Let me know your thoughts, man. Comment section, please. I'll be replying back to all the messages anyway. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I like football. I watch every league I can. The Prem product is behind, late to VAR, late to 8K cameras. The presentation is meaty. I definitely agree with that last line. Definitely. I don't know if you guys saw. I saw it floating on Twitter. It's I don't know if this is all football or just the Premier League. I think it was the Premier League. They want to have their own subscription-based, basically, service. So apparently it will cost around about £10 a month, and you can watch any game, basically. Any Premier League game at any time. Tell me what you guys think about that, actually. Is that something that you guys want to see? Is that something you think we should be seeing? Like, that I think it'll be good, because obviously it will stop people from getting your VPNs and etc., right? But yeah, it'll be good. Don't get twisted. And I think loads of people would do it. Loads of people would do it. It just makes sense. They would make a lot of money. They're going to obviously cut out, obviously, the middlemen and stuff like that. how they package it is going to be interesting, very, very interesting, because obviously now you're competing with like the likes of Sky, TNT, who else, Amazon Prime, like all of these kind of things. I would love to know how that kind of, you know, I mean, how that kind of looks. But again, we'll wait and see, man. We'll wait and see. Big up Ends in the building. Ends, I believe you're going live. I think I just saw the message. Let me see if I can let me see. We can redirect. Ends. And bro, I see Bear Savages. Got Bear of these watch alongs popping up. There we go. Yeah, that's today, innit? Yeah. All right, guys, you'll be redirected over to Ends. I believe that with Saeed. That should be a good show. So make sure you obviously guys check that out. This is just fragmented nonsense, just causing enemies. You're not disturbing the wealth. That's the Prem's issue. You can't be having too much of the pie. Leave some for others. Yeah, we'll see, social man. We'll see. Like I said, I just saw it. It was something that floated on Twitter. Whether that's, I think that is something they're probably trying to do, though. I'm not gonna lie. I do think that's something that they would try and do, just because I think they're probably getting a little bit annoyed with the fact that, again, VPNs, Fire Sticks, websites, too many of these things are kind of floating around for them. So they're in a position now where it's like, need to do something. Do you get what I'm saying? People are becoming a little bit disinterested with it, especially with the product, I feel, of the Premier League. I think it has, over time, I think it's just become a little bit, as Social said, a bit meaty in terms of the actual product of it. They're obviously trying to add different things in regard, like even like a Sky Sports. I think they do like the Saturday social and stuff like that. Again, trying to appeal to the online crowd. Obviously you got Jamie Carragher does this thing on Monday Night Football. They're trying to do different things, and I get it. I fully understand. Like, these are ideas that they've obviously just tried to, you know what, maybe if we do this, people will tune in, and people do tune in, of course they do. But I just think that with the way that football is, listen, I'm not even going to give too much, because first of all, Sky, you need to hire me, and I promise you, I'll get you back to a position of, you get what I'm saying? But we'll leave that there, man. Guys, head on over to Ends, give him a big up as well, and I'll catch you guys real soon.